They look human. Sweat, bad breath, everything. Very hard to spot. I had to wait till he moved on you before I could zero him.
Look, I am not stupid, you know. They cannot make things like that yet.
Not yet. Not for about 40 years.
Welcome to the end of time. It's the transhuman timeline. Everything natural.
So hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jens Pateu, and in this video I want to talk about the future of technology and predictive programming. And as you guys seen in the first clip that I played of the Terminator movie, where Sarah Connor says, you know, they can't make things like that, and then he answers, not for another 40 years, and then, you know, what I added after that was actually Elon Musk robots, which actually totally looks like a Terminator. So actually what the Terminator showed 40 years ago, that movie came out in 1984, is that it truly was almost a prediction, because 40 years later these things are actually practically a reality. The Terminators are real. I mean, this Elon Musk, you know, AI robot walking on stage, it's happening, and it's gonna only evolve more and more and more, and that's what I'm gonna talk about in today's video, and how it also ties into predictive programming. So I make the case here that every movie we're seeing, almost every science fiction movie will become a reality at some point. It doesn't matter how crazy the technology is. 40 years ago, people couldn't imagine a Terminator being real. I mean, it was science fiction. Like in the 80s, computers were not advanced, there were no cybernetics. You know, everything was still at a much cruder form of technology. And for that to be real, like a walking robot that can interact, for like AI things to be real, that was like so far off on the future, that seemed so far off, but you know, 40 years later we're here and it's happening. And the possibilities are limitless, but the dangers are also very real. Because what today, you know, today with AI and facial recognition, and you know, Terminators are practically, robots are already real. What if you put a machine gun on one of those things, and you know, you decide to do facial recognition to shoot down certain people? This is like from the movie RoboCop, where, you know, some robots go crazy and then they start killing people, as you can see here below. So it's very real, and you know, we know if the technology exists, it is going to be used. So that is something we really have to consider. So I'm going to go over this in this video with some clips. And the first clip I'm going to show is actually, there has been a lot of evolution in robotics, and one of the companies that is at the forefront of this is Boston Dynamics. And Boston Dynamics had actually a contract with the Pentagon. But, you know, credit to them, they stopped doing contracts with the Pentagon, and they signed a declaration where they say they're not going to use their robot technology for nefarious means or military means. Now, you know, if Boston Dynamics is not going to do it, some other company is going to do it. So, you know, there's also the danger in that, and it's probably already being used in secret military projects. It's not out really in the open. I mean, you hear of drones in warfare, drones being used, but you know, if this trend continues, it's only a matter of time until real robots are used, you know, in military warfare. Maybe that would be a good thing, because then we don't have to send innocent young men to the battlefields, you know, let the robots fight it out. I mean, it's insane when you think about it, but I mean, of course there should be no war, but it's insane when you think about it. So everything, like I said, everything you will see in movies will become real. And the state of robotics these days with Boston Dynamics, and you're seeing this clip here of the Atlas robot of Boston Dynamics, who is extremely agile. I mean, this thing can walk like a human, it can deliver heavy loads. So it's, you know, it's only a matter of time before this is getting used in construction, for example, as you see here. I mean, this technology is only at the beginning. Try to think what this technology will be able to do in 5, 10, 20, 40 years. And they're getting more and more advanced. I mean, here you're seeing the Atlas robot, but I'm going to show you guys, they also have an Atlas 2.0, a new Atlas robot, which is even more agile, and you're seeing it here, so it's more compact, and it can do like these crazy moves as you're seeing here. So it starts to look from like something from a movie like iRobot, which is like 15 years old. You know, the movie with Will Smith, where the robots go crazy. And this is already looking like it. So everything that you see in science fiction will become a reality. There is no limit to what technology can do. But we need to have technology with a ethical consciousness behind it. And too bad, in the world today, that's not always the case. Because some technology is in the hand of psychopaths in the governments, to be honest. So there's also a danger in that. So, and it's going to enter the workplace. You can see here in this clip that I'm playing right now, this is the Spot robot working in the Stella brewery in Belgium. Belgium, where I am actually from, and people like their Stella there. People like their Stella beer all over the world. And this robot is actually, you know, tracking leaks. They call it a companion. It's like a dog, and it's walking around and scanning the pipelines to see if there are like little gas leaks coming out of the pipes. And if so that dog actually works really well because it can spot things humans can't spot, and they say it is a real advantage to them. And you know, I am not a technophobe. I am not against the use of technology and robots. I mean, my dishwasher is a robot, and to be honest, I really like my dishwasher. It saves you a lot of time to do these annoying, not having to do these annoying repetitive jobs. So yes, I am not against the use of technology for that. We don't need to keep living in the Stone Age. We need to evolve, but we need to have a spiritual, ethical, and morally sound use of these things. And that's where some of the danger looms, as I will go to in the second part of this video. So if you look at movies like Blade Runner, if you look at the state of robotics now and how it evolves, and if you look at an AI, and if you look at movies like Blade Runner, you know, where you have conscious AI robots, basically these robots in Blade Runner that live alongside us, and there it's even hard to recognize if they're human or not. That's why in the movie Blade Runner they do the Voight-Kampff test to see in their reactions on their retina if they are like androids or real people. And you know, that seems far off, you know, where it's hard to spot the difference between a robot and a human. Of course, in our day and age, it's very easy to spot. But as you see, as technology will evolve, androids will become a reality, in my opinion. That will become a reality, and there'll be people, you know, vouching for android rights and stuff like that. I mean, you can't think of this stuff. It sounds crazy right now, but as we've seen, it will be. It's a very real possibility that it will become a reality in the future, and this will have a big impact on our society. And on the jobs, for example, we already see a huge transfer of jobs. You know, some jobs will become obsolete, and that's, you know, where certain elite organizations like the World Economic Forum play into. You know, they claim it is the next step in the evolution of humanity, and in a way, this technological evolution is unstoppable. But these elites that are behind, like for example the World Economic Forum, don't have the best intentions at heart. They are not there for the common people. They are not spiritually, morally, and ethically sound organizations, and that's a whole other subject, as I speak about on my other social media. But yeah, this technology in the hands of elites that want to control humanity is not a good thing. And let me give you an example. For example, electric cars. And I did another video about Elon Musk where I talked about this, about him pushing this elite agenda for control. And electric cars are actually, like I said in the previous video, they are not that good as gasoline cars, but still they are being promoted by government mandates, like in California, the cops have to drive them now, the net zero agenda and all that stuff, because they don't, produce CO2, carbon. And they're being artificially introduced because in a normal market, they wouldn't be stand up, to the competition. And these electric cars will be able to limit your movement. So for example, if you get into a driverless taxi and you said, okay, I want to go there, and then the taxi will say, this is not part of your destination, you can't go there. Whereas in a gasoline car, you're free, you can drive wherever you want. So there is the potential for these AI-driven electric cars to really limit people's movement and, put people like in 15-minute cities where organizations like the World Economic Forum are already talking about. So, and it's being pushed, in my opinion, for exactly that reason. Not for climate, no. These elites, no. They have multi-billion-dollar companies. It's for control. and it's an agenda of control. And you can see here in this clip of Minority Report, Tom Cruise gets into these driverless taxis, these cars, and his character gets into a taxi, and they discover him, and then the AI takes over and transfers him to the authorities, and then he's like, oh my god, what's happening? And he gets out of the car. So this is what electric cars can do. They're showing it right into your face, and this is where I want to transfer to the subject of predictive programming. Now, I've said there is an agenda for humanity, and this power structure want to hurt humanity, and they want to steer humanity in a certain direction. They need to kind of massage our consciousness for what is coming. So they're introducing it gradually, but they also want to impregnate the public consciousness with this idea that this is going to be happening. And this is why this gets shown in movies. I mean, why did Minority Report show these things 20 years ago? They're showing it to us so that later on we will accept it more easily as a reality. Because first it gets impregnated through movies into our subconscious. And although it seemed a reality, it seemed a fiction for us in the past, when it happens we will more easily accept it. It's a kind of hypnotizing mechanism. The same thing would happen in 2020, the huge health crisis we had, a virus breaking out. How many movies have we not seen that promoted that? And then suddenly it happens, kind of suspicious in my opinion. And we have so many movies about dystopian futures. Like the Hunger Games, the Hunger Games society the Hunger Games movies show a dystopian society. There's so many movies, and there's also another movie that really talks about is Leave the World Behind. It talks about a blackout, and how many things have we not seen of these elites talking about blackouts, like here Klaus Schwab talking about a blackout and a cyber pandemic. That's exactly what is shown in the movie Leave the World Behind with Julia Roberts, amongst others, and how the Teslas are going crazy in that movie. How there's talk of a civil war in that movie. Another thing they have been talking about for the US. So there is this kind of metaphysical thing where the elites know that we have a creative power of our consciousness. They know the collective power of human consciousness is very powerful. When millions or billions of people are focused on one subject, that's a very powerful focus of attention. That's a very powerful force. And our consciousness, as they say in all spiritual traditions, shapes our reality. So what happens is these elites use the conscious focus of collective humanity to create the reality they want. Because if they know we are seeing these dystopian movies, then we are and these dystopian movies are telling us that the future is going to be dystopian, controlled by elites like the Hunger Games, then we are going to expect that on a subconscious level, and that's why they're pushing it on us. They are hijacking the creative power of imagination to create the reality they want for them, because they know consciousness has an effect on reality. And if they can convince, even if it is subconsciously, billions of people through Hollywood that this reality is going to be real, then it will help on a metaphysical level. It will help them to make that reality real. We will be creating that reality for them because with the power of our consciousness, because we expect it somehow through these movies. So that's a really important one to understand. There's really manipulation of consciousness going on here to manifest a certain reality. As most spiritual traditions say, the mind, the consciousness has an influence on reality, and it's shown in so many studies, and they know this. The elites are privy to more hidden knowledge, than the average Joe on the street, and that is a fact. So that's a very important thing to understand. And they show it in our faces, actually, what is happening also in the background. I mean, I'm thinking of a series like Stranger Things, where, you have Eleven, the main character, and she's basically being mind controlled. What they're showing is CIA MK Ultra. She's being mind controlled, and they're using paranormal gifts to bend reality, open, creating weird technology to open dimensions. That's what's happening in secret projects, and they're kind of showing it to us as fiction, but it is real at the same time. So there's multiple things going on here. On one hand, they are showing they are predictive programming us, showing, you know, their vision, what they want the future to be. And on the other level, they're showing what is happening right now as fiction. So this is very important to understand. And in my opinion, we got to be careful of the manipulation of frequency and sound through these series and movies. Because I remember when watching, especially the third season of Stranger Things, I couldn't watch. I mean, I kind of enjoyed the first two seasons, but the third one I couldn't watch. There was like so many, you know, stroboscopic effects going on and weird frequencies. I felt they were like trying to manipulate or agitate me, you know. And I'm sure that happens. And the same thing happened in Leave the World Behind, the movie I just spoke of. Because suddenly there was this weird sound in this movie that made people crazy, and it was a very disconcerting sound. And it just was there for no reason. They didn't even explain what was happening. So I'm thinking you know, they really try to manipulate us also with sound. Don't underestimate how much powerful, you know, groups and elites vie for our attention, for our consciousness, and want to put their perspective of reality into our minds to keep control of the herd, so to speak. Because there's some powerful elites out there. Well, I wouldn't call them powerful, but they have a lot of power in our 3D world. There's some elites out there, you know, that live off of us. You know, the multi-billionaires at the top. And they have a lot to lose. So that's really something to consider. And another subject to close this video is, how many movies have we not had about alien invasions? So many movies about alien invasion, and that has not happened yet. So I think this might be something that's on their agenda, also to control humanity, to introduce this fear factor from the outside. Because, you know, that's like the ultimate card. What scares people even more than a virus? It's the aliens who come to Earth, the alien threat, the aliens who invade us. It's always this threat from outside. And that's a perfect way, you know, through fear you can control people. So that would be their ultimate card. And not coincidentally, Werner von Braun, which was a top Nazi scientist, who was taken with Project Paperclip from after, you know, the Germans lost the war, he was taken through Project Paperclip to the USA, and he started working, you know, because he was a genius of rocket engineering, and he started working for the Americans. And, you know, through the decades, he became, because he made the Saturn V rocket that, you know, took people to the moon. So he through his work, you know, he got higher up in NASA, and then in the 70s he died of cancer. And before, on his deathbed, he said to his close associate, Dr. Carol Rosen, that, you know, they're having a plan to scare the people. And he said the ultimate card would be the alien card. That he said that on his deathbed. Confession of Dr. Carol Rosen, as you see here.
There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
So I note how he even talked about terrorism before 9/11. He kind of predicted that too, because she talked about this before 9/11 happened. So he knew of things because he was a high-level NASA official. And even Ronald Reagan talked about this. How we would unite and all our differences would vanish if we have some alien threat from beyond. Let's see that clip here.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
So it is obvious that Rogan really, you know, he can't contain his glee, because, you know, there would be this alien threat to unite the world. And it's interesting that he, you know, uses this punchline, is an alien force not already among us? But then he like says, oh, but it's the war that is alien. But everybody's, of course, attention is pitched. Very kind of interesting. Yeah, so, you know, these are all things we need to be very aware of. And, you know, sometimes it's not predictive programming. Sometimes it is truly the artist's vision, you know, that he channeled from the collective consciousness of what is possible. Like Gene Roddenberry from Star Trek, where he talked about, you know, all these futurist technologies in Star Trek, like teleportation, which in our day and age is not possible yet, but I'm sure it will be in the future. And it seems still science fiction, you know, teleporting things, but what these things show us, what I've showed you here in this video, should learn us that we can expect anything in the future. And we have to be really morally wise to use these technologies. That's very, very important. And, you know, on the subject of transhumanism, like, even that was shown in Star Trek, like with the Borg. The Borg are a cybernetic race who implant, who are controlled by a hive mind, by an AI hive mind, that, you know, implement cybernetic things in the bodies of the races they take over. That's basically transhumanism. Even transhumanism was shown in Star Trek in the work of Gene Roddenberry. So there's a lot out there, and any fiction will become reality. So that's the takeaway from it. And we need to be very, very discerning about what we take in, about what we watch from Hollywood, because not all that Hollywood puts out is fiction. It has a certain deeper layer, a deeper purpose. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share if you like these videos. Bye bye.